I almost didn't record this today because I don't have it all figured out. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point of this. I have this internal struggle because, normally I wouldn't want to share something that's not finished. I've always had this idea since I was a kid that I wanted this perfect, polished, image of who I was. Growing up the way that we didn't always have that. And sometimes it was pretty embarrassing. And I never wanted to show up that way when I had the opportunity. But right now I'm in the middle of everything, right? I'm building, I'm a father, I'm a husband. I'm dealing with so much different stuff that, if I only had someone or an example to kind of put this into perspective for me and kind of lead me the way, I think it would have been, I probably would have been better off. I think so. But having to learn this and go through this and kind of build my own path has also had its advantages. And that is what I'm wanting to share. No matter if it's an up, if it's a down, and in between, no matter how much I just want to wait until I can have this fully polished, you're getting it right now, in the middle, in public. And, some people might ask, why do it publicly, right? And for me, honestly, it's because it's something I haven't done. I've tried to work through this on my own. I'm very much an introverted person. I keep things to myself, and, that just, it's worked for a while, but I know it's not going to get me to where I want to be or where I need to be. So doing it public keeps me honest. I can't go back and rewrite it, make sure that it's perfect or anything like that. It allows me to be raw and just, lay everything out there. And hopefully, not only will I be helped in this process, if someone else is building, and watches this as well, then hopefully, I can kind of be that person for them, right? And just give them maybe a little bit of guidance or just know that they're not doing it alone. Like I've thought lots and lots of times in my life. And while I'm going through this, I don't want to come from a place, and I don't want you to see or think that, I'm a coach or a guru or that I have all the answers. I'm not coming from that place. I know that I don't, and I know that this is going to be growth for me and a journey. And that is just what I wanted to lay out for everybody else that's watching and, can grow along with me. Like I was saying, the parts of my life that would, show up here that I'm willing to talk about, is my business. Going into the 4th year of my business. I've been a husband for, it's going to be 10 years now. I have kids, so I'm a father. I have health stuff like, I want to lose some weight, just different stuff that happens that goes down the road. And that's what you can expect to see. And that's what I'm going to be talking about as I go through. And like I said, as I build. One of the things that I learned in 2025 was that, I'm capable of a lot more than I thought that, I was. I suffer a lot with imposter syndrome. Like I mentioned before, my situation growing up wasn't the best. We had very little means. I had a single mom who worked multiple jobs to barely put food on our table and barely, give us a roof or food, basic necessities. And that is tough. And it's something that I've had to work through. And even though I've had the success that I've had, in my business, being married, having 3 boys, it's still hard to think that it's me that it's happening to. And that has really stopped me a lot from truly pushing and, wanting to do more. Growing up, when you have little, you get used to settling, right? You get used to making very little enough. And I've constantly struggled with that where, I've gotten to a point in my business where, you know, doing great things, and I should be very, very proud of myself, but it almost feels like too much. And when I think about expanding or doing more, I get complacent because I know that what I have now is enough, right? I know that if I stayed exactly where I am today, I'm a million miles further than I was even last year, or the year before. But, my wife is great at pushing us and, you know, just always wanting us to do more, right? Pushing us to our full potential in business, health, everything. And so I've been working really, really hard on journaling and trying to, visualize myself in the future doing these big, great things and deserving it and then actually believing it. I can talk about these things, I can write them down, but I know in the core of myself right now, like I don't 100% believe it. And as I've journaled, as I've grown some more. It's getting better. It honestly is, but there's just more work that needs to be done. One of the biggest changes that, if you're new, you probably wouldn't know this, but if you've known me for a while now, I used to have dreadlocks, a week ago, right? And a big change that I made was deciding to cut those off. And part of my decisioning for that was, when I started to visualize my life, my future, my best version of myself, financially, health-wise, life in general. Every time I would see myself in the future, I didn't have locks. And, I think subconsciously I knew that, not having them was probably my favorite, hairstyle I've had. I've done lots of different hairstyles over the years. Growing up, I've had locks twice actually. But, this, a clean fade is just, I don't think there's anything like it, right? And I think I knew that subconsciously. So while I'm envisioning my best self in the future, I didn't have locks. And so I made the decision to book that hair appointment, cut them off. And, here I am. I love it. The response I've gotten has been great. Not really pressure, but just it's a different feeling, right? I feel like I've done the right thing. There wasn't any regret. I watched lots of videos of people that ended up cutting off their hair and like, oh my gosh, I regret it. Like I feel like I lost a piece of myself, or, they feel like they lost aura, or, whatever it is. But, I felt none of that. The first cut was, like a weight being lifted, and I don't know, I can't really describe it. It just felt right. One of those things where it's like, yes, I'm making the right decision, and this is what I need to be doing. So I did that, and this is really just the first step of me getting to, the person that I want to be. And a lot of things are going to happen over this next year that I need to work really, really hard on, and I'm probably not going to see results for, months or the end of the year, whatever the case may be. But I knew that this was something that I could do right now and see an immediate change. And so what I'm working on right now is just anything that I can control in this moment that is going to push me further. That's what I'm going to do, right? Don't know if you guys are familiar with the book 10X is Easier Than 2X, Dan Sullivan. But check it out if you haven't. It really puts into perspective how easy a big change could be, and limiting distractions and just things like that. And so I'm super excited about what this next year is going to bring. Super excited to bring you guys along on this journey, and everything feels right, and even doing this, recording this, and being vulnerable just feels great. And I'm super excited to share with you guys and build with you guys. So ultimately, if you're building something too and you resonate with this, just know you're not alone and I'm building alongside you.